It's a violent chapter in Southern California's history that still gives us chills at the mention of the name the Night Stalker.
Though he died in prison 8 years ago, a recent Netflix docuseries and our own Fox 11 true crime series reflect the fascination with this killer. Phil Schuman, live with more. Phil.
Well, our colleague Gina Silva and I had a chance to review, examine, handle, talk about the actual evidence from the Night Stalker's 1989 trial. It's still in storage after all these years, brought out for us by the LA County DA's office. There are some 40 cardboard boxes marked as trial exhibits. That trial took 9 months back in 1989. Gina and I examined it under the watchful, off-camera eye of a deputy DA who helped prosecute and convict Ramirez. You saw the AC/DC cap, handcuffs. That's a plaster cast of that distinctive sneaker footprint that was a key piece of evidence listed at crime scenes. Actual plaster cast of Ramirez's teeth. There's that cap again. It was all very grisly, very dramatic. An actual bullet dug out of one of his many victims. It was really a fascinating look into this case and how he was ultimately convicted. We talked about one of the men who helped put him behind bars, retired sheriff's homicide detective Gil Carrillo.
He's a sexual deviant. All this was sexual. He was a rapist. He was rejected by women early on in his life. Children he was kidnapping because he could control them. Killing men because they were the obstacle to get to his object of lust, the women.
Carrillo, one of the first to connect the different murder cases to believe they were the work of one man. Not obvious because of the widespread geographic distance between the victims, the different types of weapons used. More tonight at 7, Alex and Christine, including a live interview with retired Detective Carrillo, and then at 10 p.m. with Gina Silva, online at foxla.com, including never-before-seen of the actual lineup in which some of those who were fortunate enough to survive Ramirez's attacks identified him.
So, Phil, what was that like for you, even just touching all this stuff?
It was a very eerie feeling, almost like you were dealing with something that was sacred. It was lives. It was so many women assaulted, murdered. Even children were molested. And to see all that material that the jurors looked at, that the prosecution introduced, it was a very unusual feeling. Almost felt a little bit guilty about actually handling that. You know what's interesting? The Superior Court, we're told by the DA's office, there's no legal reason to keep all this. They were going to toss it, but the DA preserved it all.
So as you looked at that evidence, Phil, what stood out to you the most about what detectives had to go on?
Well, it's actually what little they had to go on at the beginning. I mean, until that footprint, you remember that distinctive Avia shoe, it was called, that footprint that was found at, I think, 5 different crime scenes. There were no fingerprints. There wasn't much evidence to tie it to a specific person. It was before the National Automated Fingerprint Identification System. So they really didn't have much to go on that connected these initially. And then as time emerged, there was a fingerprint that was recovered from a stolen car that was finally matched to an old arrest of Ramirez, and then his ID eventually emerged.
Wow.
It is a story, like we said, that is still haunting to us here in Southern California. More at 7 with you guys. Yeah.
Thanks, Phil.